So Brenna, I'm going to throw this one over to you. As I mentioned, the vast majority of future retirees place the most emphasis on the financial aspects of retirement, and rightfully so, and obviously we do too. But can you please share your thoughts on some of the psychological issues retirees should consider planning for?
Definitely. And like you mentioned, there's a large and sometimes exclusive emphasis on the financial piece of retirement, which definitely is extremely important, but retirement is much more than a financial decision. A common question that we hear from our clients is, what's my magic number, or where does my portfolio need to be in order to retire? But there's less emphasis on the emotional piece of it. So as part of our retirement readiness planning, we initiate those conversations with clients, asking what they want retirement to look like. And a common initial response, and Tony and Bijou, I'm sure you've heard this too, is I'm so excited to sleep in. I'm going to golf every day. It's going to be amazing. And that may be great for a little bit, but after 1 to 2 weeks, you may look around, twiddling your thumbs, wondering, okay, what next? So having those questions early on in retirement is definitely understandable. The transition to retirement is a big change. You no longer will have the same career identity or camaraderie at work, and a drastic shift in lifestyle can feel jarring if you haven't properly prepared. Bijou, in your work with retirees, are there any specific adjustments that maybe they weren't expecting in that transition into retirement?
Yeah, I think until you get there, you don't realize this, but we spend so much time in a day working, right? And in the last couple of years, we may not be spending as much time commuting, but the number of hours we spend away from home can be daunting, right? So now all of a sudden you've got all this time back. And one thing we hear all the time that people have not thought about is now that they're spending 24 hours a day with their spouse or partner. And it's great the first couple of weeks, but then the question is, boredom sets in and says, you're staring at the same person or you're running into them in terms of different lunch plans that you're making. So this is just something that kind of thinking about, like, how is your day going to look different than it has over the last 20 or 30 years while you were working, and who's going to be part of that day? So people don't think about this as much versus the glamorous part, as you mentioned, of I'm going to go golfing or I'm going to go on a vacation, but we're only going to do that for the first couple of weeks, but then what, right? So the then what's is something we should all be thinking about now in terms of how we want to spend that time.
Yep. And that's why we think it's really important to be proactive with these conversations and really think about what day-to-day life will be like. We also encourage clients to set new goals for retirement and find a new purpose or ways to stay active. We find that those are really key to a happy and successful retirement. One common path that we see retirees take is they give back in the field that they were once an expert in. Another common one is volunteering or even being more involved with family. And circling back to the financial piece of this, there are studies that show the longer you stay active, whether that's through part-time work, volunteering, any other activity, it will have positive impacts on your long-term mental and physical health. So any way to reduce the need for long-term care or assistance down the road will be ultimately beneficial financially and mentally.